Andre Banks coming today from Banks Credit Chat discussing the lending platform Affirm, and that's Affirm. Affirm has came to my attention recently by a number of family members who've utilized it. Now, I want to put this disclaimer out: the family members that have came to me talking about how good it is they good it is. That's maybe not the best choice of words, but how they found it to be effective and how great it is, how they viewed it to be great is they have had some credit challenges. Firm has been around for a little while, from my understanding, and when so many people are on one side of the spectrum and they only talk about the pros, I decided to look into a couple of cons. Not to be a jerk, but just to look in when something sounds too good to be true, there's usually some there's usually some downside. So I wanted to at least point out some downside to that particular platform because a lot of people who raved about it, especially in my case, it was particularly family members and family member friends. And family members, they had a couple of crown challenges, so they utilized the platform. How Affirm works as a kind of a middle ground for a retailer. Any retailer. It could be a plane ticket, it could be clothing items. One particular family member had a last minute prom item they needed to buy, and they didn't have the particular cash up front to do that, so they utilized the Affirm platform. Here are a couple of things that I found out that people are not aware about, and you should be aware about if you're going to utilize this particular platform. One, it doesn't report to the credit report agencies correctly. That's one of the things. And if it does report to the credit agencies, it shows as a riskier borrower. And that's the best way to explain at that point, especially how it reflects on your FICO score as well. It just shows you on your credit report as more of a riskier borrower, and it just doesn't reflect correctly, and again, you're considered to be more riskier. Well, another disadvantage of using the Affirm platform is that the interest rates are a lot higher, can be a lot higher than credit cards. So if you think about the highest interest rate you can have at a credit card, maybe 22%, it's not unreasonable to see that you would see something 30% or higher. Now, the disadvantage is that I found out that for customer service is pretty bad over there. So if you're utilizing the platform and you have an issue with a particular item that you purchase and you want to talk to someone to speak about it, and they make it very difficult for you to do that, customer service, and they have a very low escalation. So what I mean by low escalation, you want to speak to a supervisor because you're not getting the effective, you're not getting an answer to your question. It's not being handled effectively. You say, hey, I'd like to speak to a supervisor, purchase this item, looking to see what's going on about it. They try to keep that at a minimum, and it's very difficult to speak to anyone than the reps that they have there. They don't want to have, they almost make it seem like they don't have a supervisor available at all times. Again, something you need to be aware of. Doesn't report to your credit report effectively, shows you as being a riskier borrower. May not be too much of a concern for you because you just need to utilize it for that particular time. Interest rates it can be a lot higher than a credit card. The return policy I also heard as it's very difficult in that aspect. Any interest that you might have paid, if you're returning the items for a retail outlet, your interest rate would not be refunded in that point, and it's still a difficult process. Finally, I mentioned the high interest rates. I mentioned what it does report correctly on your credit report. You also have to be aware that when you're let's say you want to pay off this item before the allotted time frame that they have for this particular loan, they will charge you a prepayment penalty. You need to be aware of that as well. Again, people find themselves in a situation where they have to utilize the platform, and a lot of people have spoken highly about it. I just want you to be aware of some of the drawbacks or disadvantages of utilizing this platform. One, and I can't speak enough about this, it's probably the third time mentioning, how it reports to your credit report as a more riskier borrower. The interest rates are a lot higher than credit cards. The customer service is pretty bad as the go-between between the particular retailer and the firm itself. I forgot another one. they are particular about what method that you use to pay off the debt. So if you want to use another card, they have their selected cards or selected methods or selected payment cards that you will utilize to pay off that obligation. They're particular about that. And one more thing is that I've also found out if you utilize that, if the payment is due that day, you have to pay. I'm not doing a good job explaining that. Payment becomes due the 10th. You can pay at the 10th, but it has to be paid before 4 o'clock. Anytime after 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, it would be considered a late. So, and that means there's extra fees to go along with that. Laid out a list of cons. I encourage you to rewind this video. It's a number of them. If you're going to look at the Affirm platform, just be aware of the cons, because nothing is always as good as it seems. If this video has been any value to you, please subscribe, leave some comments, and for my next video for Banks Credit Chat, I'm out.